Okay, now we're going to talk about recovery. So, recovery from sport and exercise. So, after exercise, whether it's intense or a little bit lower intensity, if it's a race or something super strenuous, we're going to need to recover properly to optimize our performance and prevent injuries. So in this unit, we're going to talk about the signs of recovery, so how to recognize when you are fully recovered and ready to push again. And we're also going to talk about a lot of different recovery techniques. So we'll think about things like nutrition as well as active recovery techniques as well, which might help speed up the overall recovery process. But hopefully by the end of this part of the unit, you'll have a bit of a better understanding of how to incorporate recovery into your routine and optimize your training for best results. So, the signs that you're recovering. Now, there's 3 different types. I've grouped these into 3 different types, but there's physiological signs that you are recovering. So these are within the body. These can be decreased blood lactate and decreased resting heart rate. So we know that after we exercise or during exercise, our body produces lactate or lactic acid as a byproduct of anaerobic metabolism. When we have high levels of blood lactate, that indicates that we are fatiguing and we need to recover. Now, as you recover, your lactate levels will decrease. This happens quite quickly for some people and a little bit slower for others, but your body clears the lactate from your bloodstream and restores the normal metabolic function and normal pH. Decreased resting heart rate. So this is more long term. If you're looking at your resting heart rate every night, so you're wearing a fitness tracker and you can see what your resting heart rate is each night. If you have a look at that and normally your resting heart rate is 53, let's say, and there's a few days where your resting heart rate is up at 55. Now, because your resting heart rate has increased, I would say you're under some sort of physiological stress. Perhaps you weren't recovered correctly, and when your heart rate drops back down to its normal at 53 resting throughout the evening, that is a sign that you are recovering. We also use resting heart rate as an indicator of cardiovascular fitness as well, so these are decreases over a long period of time. But if you're quite stable at 53 and you notice some spikes and some peaks, they can be indicators of how recovered we are. We also have symptomatic signs of recovery. So symptomatic means symptoms that you're feeling. So decrease delayed onset muscle soreness. So when you go to the gym and 2 days later you have this intense pain, and it sort of disappears maybe after 3 days, something like that, but it always shows up 1 to 2 days after a gym session. So when that delayed onset muscle soreness starts to die down, we are recovering from that training session. And decreased tightness as well. So muscles tighten, and that can be a symptom or a sign that a muscle's not fully relaxed or still under some strain from the exercise that you've put it through. So during recovery, the tightness in those muscles will reduce. And then psychological signs of recovery, increased motivation. So after we've had some sort of recovery period, you often feel more motivated to go into your next training session, and that increased motivation is often a sign that your body and mind have recovered and you're ready to push yourself again. And we also have increased energy for the next session. So this refers to sort of the energy that we feel mentally, and we feel mentally and physically ready for our next exercise session. Okay, now nutrition for recovery. So you need to know a few different important nutritional components that are essential for us to consider when we're recovering. Now, these mainly refer to right after an exercise session. So what are you going to eat and drink if you finished a really hard exercise session on that day? First one is water. So after exercise, drinking water is super, super important and key to replacing the fluids that we lost through sweat, and ensuring good circulation and helping muscle recovery. You might even decide to drink an electrolyte drink, which also has some sodium and potassium in there as well to help replenish those electrolytes. Carbohydrates to refill the glycogen stores. So we need carbs to restock our stores of glycogen, especially after intense exercise, because our body is going to rely on them for energy into our next session. And then protein. So eating protein helps our muscles rebuild and grow stronger after they've been broken down during physical activity. Protein's especially important after resistance training exercise. Creatine might be another nutritional strategy that you adopt for recovery. It helps to restore energy in the muscles by replenishing the ATP-PC system. So remember, PC is for phosphocreatine. So by including creatine into our recovery meal, we can bolster up those phosphocreatine stores, which are really important for short bursts of intense activity. So things like resistance training, creatine is very good, very useful. And then lastly, you need to know about polyphenols. So polyphenols are sort of like antioxidants that you find in foods, and these reduce inflammation. So they help to support recovery and reduce that inflammation that we might see that might contribute to our DOMS. Polyphenols are mainly found in berries like blueberries, strawberries, raspberries, and also in nuts and seeds as well. So I want you to have a think now of what you eat or drink after your workout and whether that would fit well within these 5 different nutritional strategies for recovery. So it should be somewhat a combination of the 5. I would say creatine and polyphenols, probably not as important as water, carbs, and protein. The water, carbs, and protein are our big 3. But think about what you would have after a workout. And there is actually one food which has all of these in very good quantity. And it's considered one of the best nutrition strategies for post-exercise. And I bet you're not going to guess what it is. But what is the perfect recovery meal? It is chocolate milk. Chocolate milk is actually considered one of the best sports recovery drinks, and there's a few reasons why. So it has a really good ratio or balance of carbohydrates and protein. That's an ideal ratio of 3-to-1 for carbs and protein. It helps to replenish the muscle glycogen and repair muscle tissue. It also offers a combination of fast digesting and slow digesting proteins. So we have whey protein, which kicks in quickly to repair our damaged muscles. And it also has casein protein, which is a slow digesting protein, which provides sustained, long-lasting muscle repair over time. Chocolate milk also has electrolytes. So obviously it's fluid, which is great. We're getting water, but we're also getting electrolytes. So sodium and potassium, which help with rehydration and replenishing the electrolytes that we've lost during sweat. It's also affordable and easily accessible, and it works just as well, if not better, than some of the expensive sports drinks. Now, this isn't just my opinion. This has actually been proved that chocolate milk might be more effective than sports drinks when it comes to recovery due to these factors. And there was some research that looked at it and showed exactly that. So what did they do? These researchers compared chocolate milk, a carbohydrate-only sports drink, something like a Gatorade, and then a fluid with only electrolytes, like an electrolyte drink. So the chocolate milk, we know it's got carbs and we know it's got electrolytes. The carbohydrate sports drink has got carbs and electrolytes as well. And then the fluid with only electrolytes is just an electrolyte drink, just a basic electrolyte drink that you might drink when you're sick or you've got a vomiting bug. So what they did is they took 9 trained cyclists, they made them do a really intense interval workout, and then an hour later they drank one of these 3 beverages. Later on, they tested again the time to exhaustion during a second cycling trial. So they were fatigued, firstly with the interval training, then they drank either one of these 3 drinks. Then they did a time to exhaustion trial where they saw how long it would take for that particular person to to reach exhaustion. And what they found was that athletes who drank the chocolate milk performed better on the second workout, on the one where they were supposed to be a bit fatigued, than those who had the other two drinks. So chocolate milk, they were able to recover quicker and perform better on their second workout. The study also showed that the ones who drank chocolate milk had better muscle glycogen replenishment, so they were able to increase their stores of glycogen, and they had better muscle recovery markers as well. So overall, the chocolate milk was far better for recovery than the two other drinks that they trialed. Okay, so now we're going to talk about some recovery techniques. So we've got a few different techniques for recovery. There's probably more on this list that haven't been included with the IB, but I want you to think about any other techniques that you might use for recovery after a training session that aren't listed here as well. Now, with each technique, we've got what it does, and I put a few question marks there because some of these techniques are marketed in a way that they say that they do certain things for recovery, but research and the evidence doesn't back these things. So whilst we're talking about it, I want you to think, do you really think foam rolling does decrease soreness or not? So foam rolling, the idea is that we get this myofascial release. So myofascial is, we're talking about the fascia that surrounds the muscles, and we're rolling that out and releasing that myofascia to decrease muscle soreness. Do you think it actually does what it says it does? Then we've got compression gear. Now the idea of compression gear is to increase circulation and decrease swelling to improve recovery. Do you think that compression gear actually does this and does benefit recovery? Then we've got thermotherapy. So thermotherapy is heat. So think about a sauna or a hot bath or a hot pool. The idea is to increase blood flow, to improve recovery by helping the muscle get rid of the lactate and the other chemical byproducts that we don't want. So blood flow to the muscle, delivering more oxygen, helping the muscle recover. Cold therapy is said to decrease inflammation and decrease delayed onset muscle soreness. Remember that delayed onset muscle soreness is just inflammation within the muscle. Do you think cold therapy does that effectively? And then the last one is massage. So massage to loosen tight tissues and decrease stress. Now, they all sound great, right? But some of them are not as good as what they seem. I want you in your head right now to think about which of these recovery techniques is the best. And I'm going to order them now from best to worst recovery technique. Number 1 is cold therapy. So cold therapy, ice baths, helps to reduce muscle soreness, DOMS. It does reduce inflammation, and it reduces our perceived fatigue, so how fatigued we think we feel. It's best when we do it immediately after a really high intensity workout or a workout with a lot of eccentric movements. So skiing is a type of exercise with a lot of eccentric movement. However, if we overuse ice baths and cold therapy, it might reduce its effectiveness. So it's best used during competition phases where we need quick recovery rather than all the time. In at number 2 is massage. So massage can be useful in reducing muscle soreness and improving mood and relaxing the body. There's moderate evidence supporting its effectiveness, but the evidence is always good. Whether it's a placebo effect, maybe, but it has shown some evidence in reducing muscle soreness and definitely improving mood and relaxation. Number 3 is foam rolling. So foam rolling helps to reduce muscle soreness, and it can slightly improve range of motion as well. It's also beneficially mentally, since it feels like you're doing something productive for your recovery. There might be some sort of placebo effect there. It needs to be done properly and consistently after a cool down or as a cool down or part of your daily routine is when they see best results with foam rolling. So at number 3, it's a little bit iffy, but it's okay. Coming in at number 4 is compression garments. So the effectiveness of compression garments is very debated. You can see these leg machines. You've probably tried them out before or seen someone try them out before. Some studies suggest that they help reduce swelling and soreness, like DOMS, but others show very little impact on muscle repair and performance. So they might help more with perceived recovery, more of a mental effect, rather than actually helping to heal and repair the muscle. And then lastly, we have thermotherapy, so hot baths and saunas. They're not well supported by research, especially in comparison to other methods, but they might still have some benefits in improving blood circulation and promoting relaxation. Particularly, they're most useful for psychological recovery, especially in a colder environment. So out skiing all the time, you guys get super cold. A sauna might really help you mentally recover. You get in the heat, you feel good. They don't have much of an effect on inflammation or muscle repair directly, but they can help overall with the recovery experience. So even though a lot of these methods aren't truly evidence-based, remember that recovery is individual, and if something works for you really well, that doesn't mean you have to stop doing it just because there's no evidence backing it, because the psychological effect of doing something that makes you feel recovered is great. It's perfect. Okay, and then finally, the best recovery technique, the one thing that we haven't spoken about yet, hopefully you've all considered it, but it is sleep. So sleep is the most important recovery tool. Muscle repair, hormone regulation, and immune function all happen whilst we're asleep, and elite athletes need more sleep. So especially youth athletes, you guys need around 9 to 10 hours of sleep per night. Again, at altitude, our sleep can be disrupted, which can impair our recovery, especially our sleep for the first few nights of arriving at altitude. Our sleep quality tends to go down. So we need to make sure that we have really good sleep hygiene, which is sort of ensuring that we're not looking at screens before bed, using blackout curtains, keeping the room nice and cool, and setting some sort of wind down routine to help improve sleep quality. We also need to consider sleep in terms of jet lag. So if you're traveling for competition, you're going to experience jet lag. So it's best to get there a few days beforehand and help sort of acclimatize to the time zone. And there's now apps as well, which can help set you a routine for before you travel to reduce jet lag. So sleep, it's not just about resting. It's vital for muscle recovery and hormone balance, etc. Now, a checklist for you guys for sleep. To help enhance your sleep, you want a quiet environment, a cool room temperature around 18 degrees. Ensure that your bedding and clothing doesn't make you too hot overnight. Having a sleep routine, avoiding caffeine, and ingesting any food or fluid leading up to sleep, so you don't want to eat too close to your bedtime. Avoiding computers and screens. Napping no later than mid-afternoon is really important as well, and then ensuring you can get at least 7 hours a night and hopefully more. Okay, so overall, how do we recover? We've got to eat smart. We've got to get carbs, protein, and hydration as soon as possible after exercise to kickstart our recovery. We need sleep. We've got to aim for longer, higher quality sleep to ensure our muscles recover. And it's also super important for overall health. And we can use recovery techniques like cold therapy, like massage and compression as needed to help reduce soreness or help with that psychological aspect of recovery. But remember, recovery is individual, it's personal, everyone's body responds differently, so we need to find what works best for ourselves.